5 is cleaning up at the box office currently, about to cross $1 billion worldwide. But wait, Pixar has just been smacked into the mud with a series of major layoffs. How is this possible? What can we do about it? And can you make your own Pixar movies at home without Disney's involvement? Let's find out today on That Park Place. Vash, this is a remarkable story. So we see here from thatparkplace.com, written by me yesterday, Disney layoffs hit Pixar hard as company cuts several hundred jobs across multiple divisions. The Walt Disney Company has launched another major round of layoffs, not to be confused, Vash, with the last major round of layoffs, which led to the job loss of about 1,000 job losses throughout the company. But this is eliminating several hundred positions within its entertainment empire, despite enjoying one of the biggest box office successes of the year with Toy Story 5. The latest cuts affect multiple business units, including Pixar Animation Studios, ESPN, Disney Entertainment Television, National Geographic, and various corporate functions. According to multiple reports, Pixar has absorbed the largest share of the studio side layoffs, with production and operations teams bearing the brunt of reductions. Now, notice I said production and operations teams, Vash, not creative leadership, because that has not taken a hit at all. Of course, this is another restructuring effort from Josh D'Amaro, who is apparently the Grim Reaper when it comes to people's jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
So it says here, while Disney has not disclosed the exact company-wide figure, reports indicate that several hundred employees were informed Tuesday morning that their positions had been eliminated. Pixar appears to have suffered the deepest cuts within Walt Disney Studios, with approximately 150 jobs reportedly affected. According to Disney, the layoffs are part of an ongoing effort to manage resources and reinvest across the company as our industry continues to evolve. That's Disney for saying, "You're fired." The reductions at Pixar are reportedly concentrated in production and operations rather than the creative leadership. Now, of course, success here is not preventing cuts. So Pixar is actually succeeding with Toy Story 5. It did not succeed with Hoppers. Obviously, Hoppers was a big flop. And Disney has seen other flops this year as well, costly flops. We've seen Moana go down the drain. We're seeing Moana go down the drain currently, and The Mandalorian and Grogu, of course, flopped majorly. But now, Vash, a lot of people are like, well, now the rank and file over at Pixar are the ones who are bearing the brunt of this, not the creative leadership who made things like this stupid Beaver movie.
Right. Well, that's unfortunately how it goes, right? Obviously, I think what was it? Drew Taylor from The Wrap was, I think, the first to report on the fact that these cuts might be associated with Hoppers and its performance. So obviously not good, not pleasant, especially with Toy Story 5 actually being out there. But Marvin, this actually sounds to me like another story involving Pixar and involving layoffs that we were covering actually in 2024, right around the time that Inside Out 2 had come out. I think a month before then, Pixar experienced a lot of layoffs at that crucial time period as well. A lot of people were very surprised because Inside Out 2 was going to come out. Obviously, it was going to be a big success, but it wasn't until October of that year that IGN wrote a huge article outlining that they may have actually cut those individuals at that time just for them to finish up the crunch associated with Inside Out 2, but also to deny their bonuses. I do wonder, Marvin, with Toy Story 5 still out in theaters, still having that box office being accrued currently, that bonuses might have been involved in this a certain decision as well. It wouldn't shock me if that were the case.
Oh, it's certainly possible. It is certainly possible. But you know, it also seems to me like Bob Iger and I guess also Bob Chapek kind of went on a hiring spree for all of these major all these studios within Disney when Disney Plus was launching, because they were saying, we're going to make all these Pixar, series. We're going to make all these Marvel series, all these Star Wars series. Now that has kind of fallen on its face, now that Disney Plus has kind of been exposed for the way its original programming is performing, are we now seeing, Vash, a situation where they have way too many employees and not enough for them to do? And that's why Josh D'Amaro is having to trim the fat. Is this actually Bob Iger's fault?
I think it's possible. I think it's very, very possible. Obviously, they did step up in many, many ways around the company to handle the volume that Disney Plus demanded. And now that things are being slowed down just a little bit, as I think Josh G. Morrow and Dana Walton and others consider the legitimacy of some of these projects, well, obviously you're going to have some fall off right there. It's very interesting, Marvin. These entertainment studios like Pixar, Disney Animation, they don't quite work like what is it, WDI, right? Where we hear about Imagineers being brought on for a specific project, if it's, especially if it's large in scale, and then when that project is complete, usually you'll see kind of this layoff happen, a reduction of the workforce, right, as that project has actually come to term. We saw that with Epcot, we saw that with a number of projects throughout the last 40 or so years. But these animation studios, they don't quite work like that. They actually do retain talent from one project to the other, and this is why, something's always constantly in production. But I think you're right, because they scaled up so massively, they might be looking to trim the fat that way. And look, these animated films like Hoppers, for example, they're trying to get some original fare out there, but frankly, if you're going to invest in original fare and have it not do well over and over and over and over again, I think Drew Taylor made the point that you should probably be cutting back on how much these things cost, at least for the original stuff. Then when you have a certifiable hit, then you can actually spend more.
Honestly, I have a hard time faulting the logic of these layoffs because Bob overstocked the company. Bob, what are you thinking? And not only that, but we're also yes, Toy Story 5 is doing very well. But Hoppers also did very bad. The Mandalorian and Grogu also did very bad. Moana is doing very bad. These were not cheap movies. Luca did very bad. And what we're seeing now is, I think that, this is why I get so annoyed when people try to say everything's great for Disney because they have one hit out of 5 failures. Because I'm like, no, that one hit does not erase the money that they lost on those failures.
Of course, yeah. In some cases,
they're losing hundreds of millions.
Right. In some cases, it doesn't even make a dent into some of these losses, just depending on how many losses that they actually accrue in a year. You're exactly right, Marvin. I mean, for every single Toy Story 5, there's a Moana.
And while I will never celebrate someone losing their jobs, I will say that I think they're actually doing something to benefit the shareholders at this point. They're actually looking out for the shareholders because there's a lot of fat on this company right now. There's a lot of fat that's got to be trimmed back, and a lot of that has to do with the failure of underperformance of Disney Plus, if we don't want to use such a harsh word as failure. But I mean, we saw that we saw just recently with streaming originals. Lumina Data reveals Disney originals have all but collapsed, billions spent for 2% of viewing time. And we see it. Results are as follows: Netflix 57% of viewer time on originals. Prime Video 11%. There's no shock there. Prime Video's had a couple of hits. Hulu 7%, which yes, that is Disney, but it's not Disney Plus. It's not what they've spent $10 billion on. Things like The Bear are far less expensive to produce than The Mandalorian. Paramount Plus 7%, Peacock 5%, Apple TV Plus 5%, HBO Max 4%, and Disney Plus just 2%. Vash, this is absolutely insane. Look at this pie chart right here. Netflix is this big, huge pink right here, and Disney Plus is this tiny yellow slice right here, getting beat out by HBO Max, by Peacock, Apple TV.
And you can imagine what that's going to look like with the merger, if it indeed does take place, right? They'll be even farther behind their competitors in the space.
Yeah, absolutely. But Pixar, guys, we've kind of seen a deconstruction of Pixar. The only thing hitting for Pixar anymore is the what do you call it? The sequels. Inside Out 2, Toy Story 5, Moana 2, or not Moana 2, Moana 2 is Disney Animation. But yeah, sequels are hitting right now. That's about it. I think that they're working on another Incredibles right now. They're definitely working on another Toy Story after this. So, this Gato movie with Mark Ruffalo, is that Pixar or is that Disney Animation? I think it's Pixar, right?
Yeah, it's Pixar, but that's the other problem there, Marvin, as well, is that
I think that's doomed to fail.
It might be. It might be. Hopefully, they didn't spend too much on it. That's the other thing too about all of this is that for these originals, right? Original content is far more expensive than your legacy content, and
Oh, yeah.
we know that they've dumped tens of billions of dollars into that segment of the business per year in order to get those originals out there. So that's no good. But that's the other thing too with the confusion between what is Pixar, what is Disney. Right now, you have two separate silos. You have two separate studios with all of their various management, organizational structures, with all of their accounting and taxes and just everything about running two operations. Marvin, does it necessarily make sense to have two distinct animation studios when maybe the general public can't necessarily tell them apart?
I think that's a really good point. That's a really, really
Right?
good point, Bash. But the Pixar name means something, or it did mean something at least. It used to mean quality. I don't think it does anymore. Like I
That's the
said,
thing.
we like Hoppers. I had to think about whether Hoppers was Pixar when I was writing this. Like it's a huge. But here's the other thing with Pixar, and I want to get your opinion on this. Has Disney poisoned the well with new Pixar content because things like not Luca. Or no, it was Luca. Luca was the one in Italy with the fish people, right?
Yes.
What was the one I
Let's
was?
see,
What
Luca.
was the one I was talking about that just bombed? The bean mouth one with the little boy that goes into space.
No, Elio.
Elio is the one that I meant as far as bombing. But like Turning Red, Luca, a whole bunch of these different Pixar movies, they debuted on streaming first. So it's almost like they like trained everyone during the pandemic to just wait for streaming for new Pixar properties and go to the theater for the sequels.
Right.
Because those are the
I
ones
mean,
we can't wait to see. Well, look at Encanto, not Pixar, but Encanto is a Disney animation thing. Encanto did garbage in theaters and then made a killing on Disney Plus because people are waiting to try out these new IPs on Disney Plus.
Right. I mean, that's the kind of the issue there. And I know there's been a concerted effort to retrain the public, so to speak. I believe Paramount, Universal, and Disney now collectively have said that they're going to have 45-day windows established for their content in order to keep those things in theaters and to just make sure that people don't necessarily hold out on something for that streaming opportunity right there. But it is going to take a little bit of time for that to actually take root in the minds of the consumer.
What they need, I think, is you need a 45-day theatrical window, but I think you also need like a 30-day PVOD window.
Yeah. I think so. It's just way too short. Some of these things were just being taken out of theaters so quickly, and really did damage, I think, to that box office. To the idea that you should be going to see these things in theaters. Now, I do think the theater model as it currently stands right now has a number of issues, but I think one of those is certainly one of them, right? If people know that they can actually wait a couple of weeks and then actually see this fare, especially with family fare, then they're probably going to actually do that given the price of the tickets and everything else. But that's the other thing too. The other thing that's taken root in the minds of the consumer is, like you said, the diminished quality of Pixar content. Right? I mean, when John Lasseter and the rest of the Bain Trust is basically out of there, I think Pete Docter understood, oh man, we could actually lose this studio or have it be merged into maybe Disney Animation, perhaps, if in fact we don't actually get on board with the quality and consumer interests, right? This is why Inside Out 2, very late in the game, was changed dramatically, especially as it concerned the issues stemming from Lightyear. This is why Elio was heavily changed. And this is why Toy Story 5 was rushed into production.
Do we have that for? Do we know that for sure that Inside Out 2 did have like gay stuff in it?
Yes, yeah. I think IGN actually said that. They implied it pretty heavily. I mean, we know that there was a period of intense crunch at the very end there, and they do have multiple phrases in that article saying that there was some content associated with Riley that they took out at the last minute right there.
Oh,
so
it's obvious that it was there. I said when that movie came out, I said, we got the Saudi Arabia cut.
Yeah, exactly right.
We got the China cut. We got like that's what we're getting now from a lot of these movies because they finally realized after I think Lightyear scared the pants off of them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, I think Pete Docter was told very, very strongly that
enough.
you either right this ship or you're not just out, Pixar is done. And to be fair, I mean, I think Pixar has done quite a bit to rehabilitate its image, although I will say Hopper's not a bright spot for sure. Elio's certainly not a bright spot. But when you have hits like Inside Out 2, Toy Story 5, perhaps Incredibles 3, which is currently in production right now, maybe you can get back to, you know, this quality powerhouse that Pixar was. The problem, though, is, Marvin, even if you continue these franchises, you can't necessarily establish new ones. That's a big sticking point with, I think, Disney management, with Pixar themselves and so forth, because the creative engine has certainly stalled. You can continue a story, but can you set up a new one? Remains to be seen.
Well, Bash, also the other problem is if the problems at Pixar get too much, and now that they're laying off all these people, what happened the last time they did a major layoff and somebody decided that a former Disney employee decided they were just going to make their own Disney movies from home? We saw what happened with that, Bash. We saw it last week. We saw it with The Continuing Adventures of Mary Sue by Josh Dawes, who was a software engineer for Disney who was laid off, and he made this, you know, Adventures of Mary Sue series, and everybody loves it, you know, or a lot, most people love it. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think it's very, very popular. You know, we watched this last week where her reacting to all of like the kids and talking about why would anyone want that, and eventually, you know, she gets handed the baby, and all of a sudden has this moment where she just smiles and she realizes that she actually does want this, because sometimes the traditional roles are, you know, they do fit. We also have seen, you know, like this one, my favorite one, where Mary Sue tries to fight this giant brute on the highway and ends up not being able to actually hit him. She doesn't want the big man to come in and you know, help her at all. And then all of a sudden, here he comes and he knocks the guy out with one punch, and she swoons a little bit.
Right.
And then realizes what she's done. But I mean, like, this looks Pixar quality. Like, yes. I know there are people out there who will call anything made by AI slop, but this looks Pixar quality, and it was created for not even a fraction of a cost of what a Pixar movie costs. So, and this technology is growing faster than any technology on the planet right now, faster than any technology on the planet. And we are going to see, Vash, I think by the end of this year, we're going to be able to create our own Pixar movies with the push of a button.
Yeah, and I think the company understands that. I think they recognize that. I think they know that, right? And I think in the interim, in the short term, I think Disney's thinking, do we necessarily need all of this staff when people can create these things so effectively and so cheaply by comparison? And so I think they are evaluating that process as well. I think some of the layoffs associated with all of this maybe have that mindset attached to them in some way. The other thing too, like you said, that I think competition for storytelling is about to, you know, I think we're going to see the democratization almost of the entertainment industry, in that these people go ahead, please.
No, continue that thought, please.
No, I think you're going to be looking at a decentralization from Hollywood, actually populated throughout the masses, now that a lot of people have the tools to create this content. And we talked about this Mary Sue animation here. That 5 years ago would have taken a team and $20 million and all of that. Now, you know, almost push of a button right there. That, I think, is going to transform the industry profoundly.
I agree. I 100% agree. And just imagine, though, like, let's say you're a parent who is very on top of what your kids watch, and you are looking at things that Disney's putting out. You don't like the messaging that's in them. You don't like the things that are coming out of Hollywood. Now you have this technology that allows you to make your own content for your kids.
Right.
I think that's kind of a game changer for a lot of people. And I think Hollywood is eventually going to be challenged, not just by the competing studios, but by moms and dads sitting in their house saying to themselves, I can make something better than the slop that I can make my own slop. I could make things that are better than what Hollywood is making, that's more appropriate for my kids. And I don't think that Hollywood or Disney or Pixar or anyone is prepared for that battle, but we're going to see, guys. Can you make Pixar at home? yeah, they can lay off as many people as they want, and eventually you could just do it yourself. So we'll see what the future holds when it comes to that.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.